Hello, everyone.
Yeah, hello. Just relax. Madam Adi Bimpe. Yeah, we're waiting for other members to join, so we'll start
Okay.
on time. Yeah.
Hmm. Can I get the presenter? It's saying that I can't present.
Sorry, I'll make you a presenter. Don't worry.
Okay.
According to Verizon's Data Breach Investigations Report, ransomware attacks have doubled since 2017. The city of Atlanta experienced a recent ransomware attack in which files necessary for many of the city's services were encrypted by hackers. While the cost of the attack is estimated to be in the hundreds of millions of dollars, the damage could have been far worse.
That's it from here, Cindy. Back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Steve. Well, as mentioned earlier, it's happened again. Another major corporation has been hacked. And while the company is saying no social security numbers or payment cards.
Hey, what just happened?
Ugh, the power went out. I wonder if it's just our building.
Looks like the entire block is out. Oh, wait.
The whole city!
The fastest way to get this to stop is to make the $60,000 Bitcoin payment the hackers are asking for.
That doesn't guarantee the hackers will supply us with a key to unlock our files. But it does guarantee we'll face criticism for giving in to the demands of criminals, further propagating this type of crime. I assume we're still trying to unlock the files on our own?
My best people have been working on it for days, not to mention the FBI's digital forensics team.
What about how this happened in the first place? Do we know more about that?
I was just updated prior to walking in here. The hack traces back to one of our data analysts who had taken some of his work home with him on a company laptop.
Hey, Dad, can I use your laptop to play Fortgy?
What about your computer?
It started glitching again.
All right. I was just wrapping this up anyway. Here.
The kid saved the game files to the company laptop, which, by default, saved the files to his personal FileBlocks account. The next day, the analyst was at work, and he opened up his FileBlocks folder to show a personal photo to a coworker.
Huh. What are these?
The analyst clicked on one to try and figure out what they were, and by doing so, the entire network became infected with ransomware.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but this was easily avoidable if the analyst had followed our policy about not letting other people use your work laptop.
Correct. Or the policy about not having your personal FileBlocks account installed and synced to your work PC. The ransomware we're now infected with is a direct result of the failure to follow those two policies. So, what do you want to do? Pay the ransom or continue to ride this out?
According to Verizon's Data Breach Investigations Report, ransomware attacks have doubled since 2017. The city of Atlanta experienced a recent ransomware attack in which files necessary for many of the city's services were encrypted by hackers. While the cost of the attack is estimated to be in the hundreds of millions of dollars, the damage could have been far worse.
That's it from here, Cindy. Back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Steve. Well, as mentioned earlier, it's happened again. Another major corporation has been hacked. And while the company is saying no social security numbers or payment cards.
Hey, what just happened?
Ugh, the power went out. I wonder if it's just our building.
Looks like the entire block is out. Oh, wait.
The whole city.
The fastest way to get this to stop is to make the $60,000 Bitcoin payment the hackers are asking for.
That doesn't guarantee the hackers will supply us with a key to unlock our files. But it does guarantee we'll face criticism for giving in to the demands of criminals, further propagating this type of crime. I assume we're still trying to unlock the files on our own?
My best people have been working on it for days, not to mention the FBI's digital forensics team.
What about how this happened in the first place? Do we know more about that?
I was just updated prior to walking in here. The hack traces back to one of our data analysts who had taken some of his work home with him on a company laptop.
Hey, Dad, can I use your laptop to play Fortnite?
What about your computer?
It started glitching again.
All right, I was just wrapping this up anyway. Here.
The kid saved the game files to the company laptop, which, by default, saved the files to his personal FileBlocks account. The next day, the analyst was at work, and he opened up his FileBlocks folder to show a personal photo to a coworker.
Huh. What are these?
The analyst clicked on one to try and figure out what they were, and by doing so, the entire network became infected with ransomware.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but this was easily avoidable if the analyst had followed our policy about not letting other people use your work laptop.
Correct. Or the policy about not having your personal FileBlocks account installed and synced to your work PC. The ransomware we're now infected with is a direct result of the failure to follow those two policies. So, what do you want to do? Pay the ransom or continue to ride this out?
That's fair. As I was saying, we watched the video, but I think my sound was on mute, so none of you heard what happened. But we'll just play it once again so that we'll be able to follow with whatever the video or whatever they are saying in that video. So just give me a minute. We'll just go back to the video, and then we'll just play it once, and then we'll come to the quiz. Thank you. I hope I'm now loud and clear. Let me check again to see. Okay.
According to Verizon's Data Breach Investigations Report, ransomware attacks have doubled since 2017. The city of Atlanta experienced a recent ransomware attack in which files necessary for many of the city's services were encrypted by hackers. While the cost of the attack is estimated to be in the hundreds of millions of dollars, the damage could have been far worse.
That's it from here, Cindy. Back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Steve. Well, as mentioned earlier, it's happened again. Another major corporation has been hacked. And while the company is saying no social security numbers or payment cards.
Hey, what just happened?
Ugh, the power went out. I wonder if it's just our building.
Looks like the entire block is out. Oh, wait.
The whole city!
The fastest way to get this to stop is to make the $60,000 Bitcoin payment the hackers are asking for.
That doesn't guarantee the hackers will supply us with a key to unlock our files. But it does guarantee we'll face criticism for giving in to the demands of criminals, further propagating this type of crime. I assume we're still trying to unlock the files on our own?
My best people have been working on it for days, not to mention the FBI's digital forensics team.
What about how this happened in the first place? Do we know more about that?
I was just updated prior to walking in here. The hack traces back to one of our data analysts who had taken some of his work home with him on a company laptop.
Hey, Dad, can I use your laptop to play Fortnite?
What about your computer?
It started glitching again.
All right. I was just wrapping this up anyway. Here.
The kid saved the game files to the company laptop, which, by default, saved the files to his personal FileBlocks account. The next day, the analyst was at work, and he opened up his FileBlocks folder to show a personal photo to a coworker.
Huh. What are these?
The analyst clicked on one to try and figure out what they were, and by doing so, the entire network became infected with ransomware.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but this was easily avoidable if the analyst had followed our policy about not letting other people use your work laptop.
Correct. Or the policy about not having your personal FileBlocks account installed and synced to your work PC. The ransomware we're now infected with is a direct result of the failure to follow those two policies. So, what do you want to do? Pay the ransom or continue to ride this out?
So I think with this, we can go straight to the quiz, and then we'll see what we have there. So it says, please select all statements that are true. You select all statements that are true. You check all that apply. Check all that apply. So one says, if synchronizing your personal files at home don't cause your computer any harm, then it is fine to synchronize your personal file at work. If synchronizing your personal file at home don't cause your computer any harm, then it is fine to synchronize your personal files at work. Should we check that one or we should move? Guys, are you here with me? You check all that applies. If synchronizing your personal files at home don't cause your computer any harm, then it is fine to synchronize your personal file at work. Should we check it or we should go?
No.
No. Okay. The next one, if you aren't positive about the source of a file you find on your computer, a best practice is to be wary and not immediately open it until you find out exactly what the file is. If you aren't positive about the source of a file you find on your PC, the best practice is to be wary and not immediately open it until you find out exactly what the file is. Should we check that one or should we move?
Yes.
Okay. The next one, permitting other people to use or download files to your computer could make you more vulnerable to encountering ransomware. Permitting other people to use or download files to your computer could make you more vulnerable to encountering ransomware. True or false?
Yes.
Okay. The last one, ransomware has the power to encrypt or otherwise restrict access to important files and systems, allowing criminals to demand large ransom for their release. Ransomware has the power to encrypt or otherwise restrict access to important files and systems, allowing criminals to demand a large ransom for their release. True or false?
True.
Okay, so let's see. I think we're done with the quiz. And thank you very much for helping us to answer all the questions. Let's come in-house and continue with the business of the day. So, Mr. Joseph, you're welcome. As I said earlier on, we have a very important topic that will be treated today. Actually, there are two things that we have to treat. But first, we are going to deal with the topic of the day, which is going to be handled by Madam Adebimpe, a sister and a student of Cybersecurity Plus here at Software Freak LLC. Madam, are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
So if you're ready, you can take us through, but please kindly up your volume because we hardly hear what you say.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, just increase the volume a little bit.
How do I do that? Hold on 1 second.
Okay, it's okay. You can continue.
Okay. Hello, everyone. So my name is Adebimpe Adepoju, and I'm gonna present on structured query language injection, SQL injection. And I'm just gonna give a brief background on what it is. SQL is one of the oldest application vulnerabilities, and it has been a discussion since the late 1990s, but until today it's still relevant. It is sometimes abbreviated SQLI for SQL injection. Attackers use a piece of structured credit language or code to manipulate a database and get access to a potential valuable information. It is one of the most set today attacks, as it can be used against any website or web application that uses SQL. So any application at all that they kind of created using the SQL language can be SQL injection can be used to attack that application. And there has been numerous attacks that affected big organizations, which led to loss of important organizational data and some vital information. But with this lecture today, the main objective is to understand that SQL injection, what it is and how it is being conducted. We're also going to learn how to prevent it and how to mitigate or stop it, and how prevalent it is as well. So just to give two different definitions of what SQL injection is. SQL injection is a web security vulnerability that permits the hacker or malicious person to interfere with the queries that the application makes to its database. It can allow the attacker to view an information that they are not normally able to retrieve. It also, or the second definition is it allows the attacker to spoof identity, tamper with existing data, causing repudiation issues such as voiding transactions or changing balances. This allows the complete disclosure of all data on the system to destroy the data or make it unavailable. So now we're going to talk about how the attack works. So SQL query is a request sent to the database to complete a specific function, such as querying the data or executing the SQL code. This type of work forms are designed to accept a certain type of data, such as username and password. So when the information is added, it's checked against a database, and if it matches the user, is granted access, and otherwise you will be denied. A potential arrival because most work forms do not have additional way to stop this kind of information from being entered into the forms. So attackers can exploit this weakness and use input in the forms to send to their own database due to more free tools that are made available from the open source developers. Cybersecurity automatically carry out attacks in a few minutes by accessing any table or column in the database and by clicking. And this is due to like the prevalence of websites or servers that use databases. So the symptoms of SQL injection. So SQL injection attackers may not show any symptoms. However, receiving an excessive number of requests within a short time could raise an alarm or should raise an alarm. So if you're continuously getting different requests over like a small period of time, then you might want to, kind of look into it. Don't click on anything, but just, maybe get the cybersecurity team involved or, anyone that can help with that. And also advertisements that redirect you to suspicious website are also issues of concerns. Also, straight pop-ups or error messages should make you aware that something might be happening. Now we're going to go over the different types of SQL injection. So we have inbound SQL injection, where the attacker is very easy for it's very easy for the attackers because they use the same communication channels to launch, attack, and collect results. Example, error-based SQL injection. With this, the database generate an error message due to the attacker's action. Then we also have union-based SQL injection, which uses union SQL operator to obtain the desired data by combining multiple STP port, which is our port 80, and installing it. Then we have inferential SQL injection. This is when the attacker exploits the service response and behavior patterns after sending a data payload to learn more about its structure. Example is time-based SQL injection, and the attacker sends SQL query to make the data in the database wait a few seconds before answering the query as either true or false. Then we also have blind SQL injection, and a form of that is Boolean SQL injection. And this is when the attacker sends a query to the database and calls the application to produce either true or false results. Now we're going to learn how to prevent SQL injection from happening in the first place. So one of the things that people use in their organization to prevent this from happening is employee training. And just by raising your employees, kind of like what we watched in the video, if you raise your if you kind of have your employees kind of raise awareness during any kind of employee training, and just to have them know when to raise an eyebrow or when to kind of raise any kind of concern, that's one way to prevent this from happening. Another thing is to control user input, which is any input in SQL query which poses a risk. So what you do is you treat the input from authenticated or internal users as if they were public input. So pretty much saying zero trust, you treat it as if even if employees are, even if it was like more of a public person using the database instead of your employee. So you treat it as if you don't trust the employee. It's not anything against them. It's just, trying to protect the servers and protect the database. So what happens is they grant limited permission to the SQL database, and by default, they use the latest version of the development environment to maximize the protection, because older versions will lack current security features. You can also continuously scan web applications. So using comprehensive tools to manage application performers, by regularly scanning applications, you can identify and fix any weaknesses before they can cause serious damage. Another way is to use a firewall. which is a web application. It's often used to filter out SQL injections and other online threats. So it uses a list of signature that allows it to filter a list of SQL queries. And so just to summarize what we discussed today is SQL injection, which is a web security vulnerability that allows hackers to interfere with queries made to a database and access information they normally wouldn't be able to retrieve. So we explain how SQL injection attack works, the symptoms of such attacks, the different types of SQL injection, and we also discuss prevention measures such as employee training, controlling user input, continuously scanning web application, and using a firewall. Is there any questions?
Okay, Madam Adebimpe, Adepoju.
Yes.
I hope I've gotten the name right.
Yes, you did.
Great. So thank you very much for the presentation. Even though I don't know if it is from my end here, I hardly hear what you're saying because your microphone was so down, and I hardly hear what you're saying. But you said?
No, I was asking, was anybody else able to hear me? I hope you guys can hear me.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to find out. All the other participant guys, were you able to hear Madam Adebimpe very well? Okay, Mr. Joseph just said he heard it loud and clear. And Madam
Yeah, I
Davis,
also heard her.
I think, okay, then
Loud and
the problem
clear.
is it's probably from here. The problem is mine. So sorry for that.
No problem.
I think she has taken a very good topic, which has to do with SQL injection. Okay, everyone has, maybe the problem is from here. So sorry. She talked about SQL injection, and we've always been hearing about SQL. And I think today, based on the explanation that she gave and the examples that she cited, oh, thank you, Mr. Joseph. We've learned a lot of things when it comes to SQL or SQL injection. But as usual, whenever we do something like this, we open the floor for the members who are here to also ask any questions that they have, or to, if they have anything that they need to add or they want to add, we can as well take that. So we're going to open the floor for questions. Anyone who has any question or anything that maybe you didn't understand in the presentation or anything, you can bring it out so that our resource person for the day is here, and as well as other cybersecurity experts who are also here, who will just try to give a good explanation or throw more light on whatever is being said. So the floor is open now. Anyone who has any question can just bring it up so that we'll see. Yeah, the floor is still open. If you have any question. You can bring it. Because Madam Adepeji is more than ready to answer our questions. Okay. Yes, we're still here waiting for your questions. Okay, I think I'm having some messages here. Okay, Mr. Joseph is asking whether there's any software or a scanner that can detect an SQL injection? Is there any software or any scanner that can detect an SQL injection?
The answer is yes. That's one of the prevention measures by continuously scanning the database or using a firewall. You can prevent it. I don't know the exact ones that companies use, but yes.
Mr. Joseph? Has the question been answered? Because per the slides, she made mention of, okay, let me see. Okay, yes, that's good. Okay. Do you have any other question? So, Madam Joseph, follow up. Okay, follow up question, Mr. Joseph. Yeah. Go ahead. Okay. The follow-up question is, do the scanners always detect SQL injection? Do the scanners always detect the SQL injection?
So
It depends on the application the company is using or uses. Yeah.
So I think just from learning from from classes that we've had, I will assume that it doesn't always detect it, but this is why there's different prevention measures that companies use. They use multiple scanners and they also use multiple firewalls so that if it gets past one scanner or one firewall, there's still plenty others, So I will assume that it doesn't always detect the SQL injection, but it's hard to, if there's different layers of protection, it's going to be more difficult to actually be able to be successful with that kind of attack.
Okay. Well, understood. Okay, then that's good. Thank you very much. So, Madam Adepeji, what do you say are the main causes of this SQL injection?
Can you repeat the question, please?
What do you say are the causes? What causes this injection, this addiction and stuff like that?
What causes it? So I would say it's more so caused by it's usually used on with a database that like I've mentioned has a SQL query. That's what it goes after, but it's caused through like different things like a pop-up. So there's a pop-up or error message that shows up, advertisements on suspicious website. If you click on it, then the attacker can, get into your computer through that and inject the SQL. What else? There's different ways. Sometimes you have to confirm that you're not a robot on certain websites, and this is sometimes the reasons why, so that you know attackers can't necessarily get into the database if you don't make that confirmation. So it's usually a different ways.
Okay. Okay, that's good. So do you have any question from anybody again? Do you have any question again? We have Joycelyn, we have Mr. Nanayao. Mr. Nanayao, there any question? Or any contribution or anything? What is it saying? Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Danaya.
So,
Yes.
so from your question, from my understanding is, you're asking if the issues are more from the staff. I will say yes. Like I mentioned, and also similar to the video that he played in the beginning, if someone clicks on maybe just the wrong link, or how if they didn't go through employee training, or maybe they're not following employee position procedures very well, like we saw in the video, then it can cause that to happen. It was just a simple game that the child played on his work computer, and it downloaded, malware through that. So it can be anything that can cause it. And if employees aren't following procedures, more than likely that can definitely affect it. It's a long variety of things that can happen. It can be from an advertisement. There's also on my slide where it said it can be if you see like continuous pop-ups over, like just happening very frequently, then you might want to raise a concern. So yeah, it's a long list of ways. And unfortunately, if employees aren't following protocols, companies can't always detect those kind of things. They can't always force employees to follow the rules. Things will get by, whether or not, there's malware scanners in place, there's firewalls in place, things might still get by, unfortunately. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I think the question that was asked was, despite all these security protocols, there are still large companies that still gets hacked with SQL injection. Please, can you explain what's may cause that? Okay, is the issue from the staff, or could it be something else? Yes, well understood. That is the question that was asked, and that is the answer that you gave. I think for those of us who didn't know the reason why she was answering that question, I think that's the question that was asked by Mr. Joseph, and there's another one to come in. I think there's another question too coming from Mr. Joseph. Just give me a minute. Okay. So please, what is the best measures to take after a company has been attacked by SQL injection, or what are some recovery measures?
Well, seeing that I'm new to cybersecurity, I won't know how to answer this question. Can somebody help me with this one?
Okay, so Mr. Joseph just asked what are the what is the best measures to take after the company has been attacked by the SQL injection, or what are some of the recovery measures that a company should deploy? In most cases, these attacks happens, and when the company got compromised, a lot of, sensitive information or what have you is being the center or the main target of the attack. So having a good, backup system, it's one thing that a company can use, not only for this particular attack, but to make sure that everything of theirs is well protected, and then trying to divide or segment the network as well, so that when one particular area is affected, the other party particular area, the other area that is not affected, could also be used to bring the company back to business. And constant, scanning of the system to see if there is any problem with the system will also give the company a chance to make sure that they prevent any such thing from happening. Okay, as well as what the resource person rightly mentioned, employees training, as most of this attack happens as a result of an insider who is negligent or any other thing. So it is important that we have our staff well trained. If there's anything that they see that they don't understand, they should report it. We have a good policy in place. And then we make sure that every single data that we have is well encrypted, and there should be a proper backup system in place so that in case there's any compromise, we can depend on that particular backup that we have to be able to come back to business, and as well as trying to divide the system, not only putting all your eggs in one basket, that the network segmentation, in that whenever one area is affected, the other area could be running, and then we could come back to business as quickly as possible. So these are some of the things that I think should be put in place in order to be able to come back to business, because that is always what we are thinking of. Whenever there is an attack, after you've been able to identify what the problem is, you try to erase, to take out that particular happening from your system, okay, by way of maybe scanning the system with an antiviral or any other thing, any other software that you think could help in trying to cleanse the system. So mostly we depend on antimalwares to be able to cleanse the system. But in order for us to come back to business, because we don't want to lose any important information, any important document, any important file. So whenever we have our files well encrypted, while at rest, or even in transit and anything, it makes it safer, because even if a third party is to lay his hands on our sensitive information, it wouldn't make any sense to him. And as well as when we try to have a proper backup system in place, that's maybe part of our, data or information is being saved somewhere, that in case there's any compromise, we can still depend on that particular area that is not being affected to be able to come back to business. I think this is all that I will have from here. I hope we are making sense. Great. So any other question? Good. Thank you very much. Do you have anything again? If not, we will thank our resource person for the day. Mr. Daniel, do you have anything for us? If no, we'll thank our resource person for the day, Madam Adebimpe Adepoju. This name is very important. I have to, repeat it again and again in order not to, bite my tongue. Thank you very much. And we are going to leave the floor to Madam Janet to also come in and bless the show with her wonderful words.
Hi, Shafi. Thank you. Yeah, so Adebimpe, I hope I got the name right. Thank you for taking today's session.
Thank you.
And thank you to everyone present today. So with this session, I see Joseph as our only guest for today. Joseph, you are super welcome. We are truly happy to have you here today. So we are SoftAfrique, a leading IT and cybersecurity firm. We currently run a 4-month cybersecurity course. And with our course, you get to enjoy a state-of-the-art virtual learning environment. You get trained by expert instructors. You also get training from real-world and hands-on training, in addition to all the theoretical aspects of cybersecurity. And so we encourage you to learn more about what happens in our course. We schedule an orientation every Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern Time. We're inviting you to come on there and see what happens there too. Yeah. This session.
Janet, a minute. Mr. Joseph is asking of our location. So
our location. So we currently are based in the USA and then in Ghana. And because we are an IT firm, I mean, we are ubiquitous. You can find us anywhere, anyhow. So yeah. Our arms and doors are widely open to have you. You can search us on our social media handles. You can find us on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at the moment, and then TikTok as well. Yes, so you can check out for us and then reach out to us. We'll be happy and glad to respond to you. Yeah, thank you so much, everyone. Catch you same time. So this is our TIS, our Threat Intelligence Seminar. It happens every Wednesday, same time. So we want to see you when. Bye-bye. Thank you, everybody. Catch you same time next week. Bye-bye.
bye-bye. Thank you.